Pardon for the background. I'm out. Listen, man, the Indiana Fever front office is crashing out right now. The Indiana Fever front office is crashing out right now. They don't know what to do. They are under more heat than they have ever been under, and they are breaking under the pressure. They're going after content creators. They're blocking sports media personalities online, and they just fired Scott Agness, who was an insider reporter. We got to get into it and keep the vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification and hype the video.
There is a very dark, very dangerous level of paranoia currently infecting the highest levels of the Indiana Fever organization, and the front office is officially crashing out under the pressure. When a professional sports franchise realizes they have completely lost control of the public narrative, they rarely take accountability. Instead, they start hunting for scapegoats. Right now, the Fever executives are launching an unprecedented aggressive war against the media, desperately trying to silence anyone who dares to tell the truth about their franchise superstar. They are actively blocking analysts, targeting independent content creators, and in a move that has shocked the entire basketball world, they just publicly executed the career of the most respected insider in the building. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now, because the establishment is desperately trying to tie up their loose ends, and WNBA verdict is about to expose the absolute truth they are trying to bury. To truly comprehend the sheer audacity of this organizational meltdown, you have to look at the massive bombshell that just dropped regarding longtime Indiana Fever and Pacers beat writer Scott Agness. For years, Agness has been the gold standard of inside reporting through his Fieldhouse Files platform, providing the exact type of relentless, deeply sourced coverage that built the fan base. But the Fever Public Relations Department just informed him, via a cold email, that his credentialed access to all team events, games, practices, and press conferences has been completely revoked. They stripped away his professional clearance and reduced one of the hardest-working journalists in the state to nothing more than a ticket-buying spectator. The official excuse provided by the franchise claimed that Agness was spreading inaccurate and unsubstantiated information. But when you actually look at the timeline of events, the front office's fragile ego becomes glaringly obvious. The catalyst for this entire disaster traces directly back to the dramatic May 20th matchup against the Portland Fire. Exactly 100 minutes before tip-off, Scott Agness published a sourced report indicating that Caitlin Clark had been ruled out due to a back issue. He provided deep, transparent context, explaining that it was a strategic management plan designed to balance short-term availability with her long-term health, especially given the intent.
Let's get right into it. So we all know Scott Agness was a longtime Indiana Fever insider, also worked with the Pacers. Let's be clear here, if it wasn't for Scott Agness, we would have never known about Caitlin Clark's injury, Caitlin Clark's ankle injury last season. Let's let that be very clear. It seems like Scott Agness knew bodies lied. He knew too much. He had too much information, and they have revoked his credentials and fired him. We got to get into this, man. Now, he posted this via his X handle, okay? And here it says, an update.
Hence, condensed schedule. The PR department immediately panicked, confronted him briefly before the game, claimed the report was false, and then unilaterally pulled his credentials without any formal meeting or conversation. Agness stood entirely by his trusted league source, updating his story with head coach Stephanie White's own pregame quotes, confirming the back issue. The organization wasn't actually mad that the information was inaccurate. They were absolutely furious that a reporter beat them to the punch and refused to let them control the timeline of their superstar's health. But if you look closely at the history of this franchise, the true motive behind silencing Scott Agness is incredibly dark. Agness wasn't just a reporter. He was a guy who simply knew way too many of where the proverbial bodies were buried. If it wasn't for his relentless digging last season, the fan base would have never known the actual, terrifying extent of Caitlin Clark's lingering ankle injury that the team desperately tried to keep under wraps. He is the exact same journalist who exposed that Aaliyah Boston was dealing with a torn meniscus rather than the vague, highly suspicious leg injury the medical staff originally claimed. Agness was fired because he refused to be a corporate mouthpiece. He repeatedly exposed their medical mismanagement, and the front office realized they had to permanently sever his access before he uncovered anything else. This blatant abuse of corporate power has ignited an absolute firestorm across the national sports media landscape, drawing the fury of massive industry heavyweights. Jason Whitlock completely shredded the organization, stating that the Fever are actively trying to put Agness out of business purely because the team completely mishandled Clark's back injury. Whitlock didn't hold back, labeling the front office as unserious people who are currently operating like an absolute cult. And the outrage didn't stop there. Pat McAfee, arguably the most influential voice in the entire city of Indianapolis, took to his massive platform to call out the executives by name. McAfee declared that the Caitlin Clark Six, directly pointing the finger at Kelly Krauskopf, Amber Cox, Stephanie White, and Lynn Dunn, must be stopped immediately, describing their bizarre, controlling tactics as downright communist. When the biggest media titans in the country are calling
for subscribers and Fever fans. Okay, here it says, after the Indiana Fever revoked my credentialed access, I want readers to understand what happened, why I stand by the reporting, and what it means for future coverage. Here he said, good afternoon. I wanted to share an important update regarding my coverage of the Indiana Fever. Indiana Fever Public Relations informed me via email that my credentialed access to all team events had been revoked. To all team events, games, practices, press conferences. He's just another person that got to buy a ticket to go to a game at this point. Okay, here it says, they said it was
out your front office for dictatorial behavior. You have completely lost the plot. And what is happening next should terrify anyone who values honest basketball analysis, because the organization's warpath is rapidly expanding far beyond the local press room. We are currently witnessing a highly coordinated, aggressive smear campaign targeting independent voices across the digital landscape. If you dare to post a critical breakdown of Stephanie White's atrocious defensive schemes or question the front office's roster construction on X, the official Indiana Fever account will instantly block you. Content creators who have spent the entire season defending Caitlin Clark from mainstream media narratives are suddenly waking up to find their channels hit with bizarre demonetization strikes and unexplained hacking attempts. The franchise is desperately trying to construct an artificial bubble where only blind praise is permitted, and they are willing to completely destroy the digital ecosystems of their own fans to achieve it. The human cost of this organizational paranoia is absolutely sickening. In a heartbreaking public statement, Scott Agness detailed exactly what this front office is trying to destroy. We are talking about a dedicated professional whose grueling work generated over 7.3 million views in the last 12 months, reaching subscribers across 49 states and 83 countries. He personally invested his own money into hiring photographers to elevate the coverage of a team that spent years trapped in the basement of the league's relevance. This isn't just about a press pass. This is a man's entire livelihood. The Indiana Fever executives looked at a dedicated journalist who helped build their brand, realized they couldn't intimidate him into submission, and callously threw him to the absolute wolves. The Indiana Fever are currently in possession of the single greatest, most lucrative asset in the history of women's professional sports. But instead of building a world-class, transparent organization around her, they are operating like a fragile, terrified dictatorship that lashes out at the slightest hint of accountability. If this front office is willing to permanently destroy the career of their longest-tenured insider just to hide a minor back injury, what exactly are they going to do when real adversity finally hits?